Hey everyone! Today we are going to talk about ecological pyramids and then talk about the interactions amongst animals and the relationships that they have. So, if you notice here on the first slide, we have an ecological pyramid. It's a diagram that shows the relative amount of energy or organisms contained in each trophic level. Last PowerPoints, we looked at trophic levels. The first trophic level here is at the bottom, which are the producers. Producers, there's a lot more grass out there as far as thinking about the relative amount of animals, the herbivores versus the primary carnivores, and so on. So when we're considering biomass, producers at the very bottom. That's the first trophic level. The second trophic level consists of our herbivores. Those are the ones that eat plants, herbs, herbivores. Our primary carnivores are the ones that eats the herbivores. And then the fourth trophic level is our secondary carnivores. So energy pyramid shows relative amount of energy available at each trophic level. Organisms in a trophic level use the available energy for life processes such as photosynthesis, cellular respiration, metabolism. So while they're eating the animals in the previous trophic level, a lot of the processes they're releasing heat. We're sitting right here and we're releasing heat. Our metabolism is working and we're releasing heat. So most of the energy is being lost to the environment. So remember that every chemical process that happens in your body releases heat as a byproduct. So the burning calories, it's releasing heat in the process. So in ecological terms, we use something called the rule of 10. Only 10% of the available energy within each trophic level is transferred to the next higher trophic level. So we're going to look at two pyramids, our biomass pyramid and our energy pyramid. Now, if you look here on your left, the energy pyramid is showing here at the bottom is our producers. They're the ones that they make their own food. 100% of the energy starts here at the bottom, our green plants. The insects eat the green plants, so 10% of that energy that they eat from the plants is transferred to the next trophic level. And only 10% is transferred to the frogs. And then lastly, 10% is transferred to the snakes. So I like looking at here this biomass pyramid because it shows the numbers. So if we're starting at 100% and only 10% is available at the next trophic level, then only 1% is available at the third trophic level and 0.1% at the highest trophic level. So looking at all these are energy and biomass pyramid together, we have the biomass that's representing the pictures. So the most biomass is at the bottom as the producers. Looking at the energy, 1,000 kilocalories. 10% is transferred to the next, which is 100 kilocalories. 10% is transferred to the primary carnivores here, which is 10. And then the fourth trophic level, 1 kilocalorie is left. So both energy pyramids, they represent the amount of energy available at each level as well as the amount of living tissue. And we see that both decrease with each increasing trophic level. And the first level is always at the bottom. Now, ecological interactions between organisms, they compete. We look at competition. Competition is when two organisms of the same or different species attempt to use an ecological resource in the same place in the same time. So they want the same food, they want the same water, they want the same shelter, so they compete. If there's not a lot of resources there, there's going to be more competition. We say we increase competition when there's less available food. So for example, here we have monkeys. Monkeys compete with each other and other animals for food. Let's say there's 5 monkeys in a particular area and there's like 100 banana trees. Now, those monkeys don't have to compete very much because they're living the life. They have like 20 banana trees to themselves. So they don't have to compete very much. However, if there's only 1 banana tree and 5 monkeys, it's like they would compete for those resources because they want to survive. So there would be an increased competition. Rams compete with each other for mates. If we look at this picture here, I thought this was really interesting. We have a red squirrel right here, and then we have a gray squirrel. And it says, until Americans introduced this gray squirrel here into parts of England in the 20th century, red squirrels had been the only species of squirrels in the country. But these gray squirrels were larger, they bred faster, so they had higher fertility rates. They competed for the resources and they were winning. So eventually, over time, these cute little red squirrels, they were gone. It's like they totally disappeared. So these gray squirrels, which we notice a lot of them around here, they had a higher competition. They won. So the other ones disappeared in the process. Now with ecology, we talk about something called a niche. Some people call it a niche. I'm going to say niche. So the ecological niche involves both place where an organism lives and the roles that the organism has in its habitat. So looking at a sunflower, for example, the ecological niche of a sunflower growing in the backyard includes absorbing light, water, nutrients. It provides shelter for bees, ants. It gives oxygen to us. We're excited. We need oxygen. So it is its job in the environment. Now, a lot of us can think of an ecological niche as its job. However, I'm going to go back. Sorry. It's hard to go back within a Chromebook. The ecological niche of an organism depends not only on where it lives, but also what it does. So by analogy, if it may be said that if a habitat is an organism's address, then the niche is its profession. So if we're looking here at the worm's niche, the address is the soil, the ground, etc. But the profession, what it does to help the environment, and the ecosystem, it mixes up the soil, it mixes up the nutrients, it helps out. Now, predation, one organism captures and feeds on another organism. We know that the predator is the one that does the killing, while the prey is the one that is the food. So if you look at the pictures down here, there's the snake. That is definitely the predator. It kills the frog. It's eating a frog right here. So the frog is the prey. Here we have the lions. The lion is the predator. And then we have the prey. So a lot of times you're going to look at these graphs when we look at the test or the attendance check. You'll see a graph there, and they're going to ask you a series of questions by reading the graph. Now, I don't have a picture for you right here because the Chromebook took away my picture, but this shows a snowshoe hare, which is like a bunny that's in the snow, and then a lynx. A lynx is kind of like a cougar, like a cat. So the lynx is the predator, while the snowshoe hare is the prey. So the question says, what would cause an increase in competition for the food? So if the lynx has to compete for food, do you think there's a lot of hare? A lot of bunnies? No. It's like if there's not a lot of food, it's going to increase the competition. So if it increases the competition, then a lot of those lynxes are going to start to die. So if you notice that a lot of these kind of are parallel to each other. So if you have more food, more bunnies, yum, 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 then the lynxes start increasing in population because they have more food, they're surviving, they're making more lynxes and so on. So we can see that based on the graph. So symbiosis is any relationship in which two species live closely together. The three types we're going to look at is mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. Now, mutualism is when both species benefit. We have a win-win situation here. So we've talked about the bees and the flowers. It is a win-win situation. The bees get nectar from flowers, and then flowers get the bees to take their pollen and spread it out so they can make more flowers somewhere else. So here it's a win-win situation. It is mutualistic. Commensalism is when one member of the association benefits, but the other one's not really harmed in the process. So it's like they're like, whatever. So it's kind of like a win-zero situation. So one's winning, but the other one's not harmed. So they just don't care. They're just helping out. So here we have barnacles on a whale. Barnacles just attach themselves to whales, so they get their nutrients, they get to live, they get transportation, but the whale is not harmed in the process. So the whale's like, whatever, I don't care. So that's an example of commensalism. Looking at this slide, we have more examples of commensalism. We have the remora fish. It attaches to sharks and just gets a free ride. The shark's not eating it, so it's benefiting, and the shark doesn't care. So it's like a win for the shark, a win for the remora fish, yay, but the shark is like, whatever, I'll give you a ride. So that's another example of commensalism. And then also birds building nests on trees. The tree doesn't care, but the bird is away from predators, and so it's a nice high place. Now, the last one is parasitism. One organism lives on the inside, on it, or inside the other organism and harms it. So the parasite obtains all parts of its nutritional needs from the host. It's definitely a win-lose situation. If we're thinking about a parasite, we think of fleas, we think of ticks. It's like they suck blood, they literally are harming their host, and it's not a good situation. So it's definitely a win-lose situation. Here's another examples of parasitism, wasp eggs on a caterpillar. It's harming the caterpillar in the process. Wasp doesn't care, it needs a place. So that is a parasite. Mosquitoes are parasites. It's like they suck blood, they make us itchy. It's like they definitely don't benefit us in any way. So that is a parasite. Leeches on lampreys, they suck blood. Another example. Here are some more examples. So we have an aphid. Aphids are little insects that suck like fluid off of leaves. So they suck the water out and all the other stuff. It harms the leaf in the process. So because it's a win for the aphids and a lose for the leaves, it's an example of parasitism. So the aphids are definitely parasites. Over here, we have a bovine and an egret. An egret is a bird that just sits on the back of a bovine. And how it's a mutualistic relationship is the egret, it gets all of these crickets and bugs that the cow tramples, and it like shoots up. So it's like, yay, thank you for the bugs. But then also the egret helps the cow because it eats ticks and fleas and all those parasites. So the cow is benefiting also. So that is an example of a mutualistic relationship. Here we have a monarch butterfly. Oh, they're so pretty. Monarch butterflies, they typically feed around milkweed. Now, this is a form of commensalism because the monarch benefits from the milkweed, but the milkweed is not harmed. And I put milkweed, my bad. It's not harmed, so it is a commensalistic relationship. So the three types of symbiosis. We have mutualism, win-win, they both benefit. Then we have commensalism, one wins, yay, and the other one's like, whatever, I don't care. So like the barnacles on the whale. And then the parasitism, one is winning, a blood-sucking mosquito is winning, and then the host losing. So it's a win-lose relationship.